A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review. So cheers to that. And today I am looking at Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Now this falls under the Legends series these days. It is no longer canon thanks to Disney, of course, buying out Lucasfilm and all the extended universe stuff being thrown out the window, but that doesn't lessen how cool of a concept Shadows of the Empire was back in the day. Now, this is a book from 1996, and what they were trying to do is bridge the gap between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but they tried to do it through a whole lot of different projects. There was the novelization, there was the video game, that came out for the Super Nintendo initially, I believe, in 96, and it was ported to the PC in 1997. There were two comic book series, there were trading cards, there was a whole lot of stuff. I'm most familiar with the Super Nintendo video game and with the novel, which I read back in the day. Played the shit out of the Super Nintendo game, but didn't get very far because that game was hard as fuck. So, Shadows of the Empire. Initial thoughts, fantastic book. Just a lot of fun. I mean, it's a fucking Star Wars book. The only bad Star Wars book I've read, and I'm sorry to say this, it was one of the newer ones. It was Phasma. The book itself really didn't do anything for me, but I still enjoy the character, and I think the character got a bum rap in the new Star Wars sequel trilogy. Now, what's important about Shadows of the Empire is it introduces the character of Dash Rendar, the character that you play in the video game. In the book, he is kind of a side character, so to speak. It introduces Black Sun, which is a criminal organization, and it introduces the character, we can see him on the cover there, of Prince Xizor, who is probably the main antagonist in the novel. He is from the race, the Feline, which are a race that are kind of descended from reptiles. And he has this ability to exude pheromones, so females kind of are drawn to him. So this is going to be a spoiler-filled, as much as I can, because god damn, I enjoyed this book. Review. If you don't want this book spoiled, if you want to go out and find it for yourself on either a paperback version or Kindle or audiobook, you know, they are phenomenal these days, then by all means go and do that. Just know that I love this book and would highly recommend it to any fan of Star Wars, even though it is no longer canon. Or is it? More about that at the end of the video. I'm just going to get right into the next episode of
Read a fucking book. 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 People.
Okay, Shadows of the Empire. You know what? This book was so much fun. I'm going to begin this spoiler-filled review by drinking straight from the bottle. Highland Queen. Cheers. Okay, where to begin? So this whole book is basically set, as I said, after Empire Strikes Back. We are introduced to Prince Xizor, who is the head of the Black Sun criminal organization, although he does have legitimate businesses to kind of cover the criminal like underworld that he kind of controls. And there's a rivalry between him and Darth Vader for the Emperor's attention, although Prince Xizor has a more sinister motive, one would say, in that a few years ago, there was a experiment that went wrong on his home planet, and Vader was tasked with cleaning it up. It was like an Imperial bioweaponry thing that went terribly, terribly wrong. And in order to clean it up, Vader basically had the population wiped out, which included Prince Izor's family. And he was, in fact, royalty. His father was the king. So he has this personal vendetta against Vader, which kind of comes out as the story progresses. So we have that going on in the background. We also have Luke, Leia, and Lando, and Chewie, and 3PO, and R2-D2, which, if anyone knows Star Wars, you know who the fuck these characters are. And they are determined to find Boba Fett, because he has yet to deliver Solo in the Carbonite to Jabba the Hutt. So we start on Tatooine. Luke is constructing a new lightsaber after his lightsaber, he lost it when Vader cut his hand off in Empire. And Lando and Leia are in a cantina, and they're waiting for one of Lando's contacts with Chewie there, and all kinds of hijinks kind of ensue. They discover that Boba Fett is on this kind of Imperial shipyard. He has yet to deliver Solo to Jabba, sorry. So they decide we are going to go and explore this. Lando's contact, who gets this information, is this smuggler called Dash Rendar. If you've played the video game, you know who he is. If you haven't, he's basically a mercenary who just works for the highest bidder. He's really cocky, just like Han was in the original trilogy. But overall, the character arc through this story of Dash is really, really cool. So they need help to kind of search this shipyard to try and get Boba Fett before he leaves. So they call in Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron, which is another series of books I cannot wait to read and review, is led by Wedge Antilles. You might remember Wedge from the original trilogy. And so they call in the help of Rogue Squadron. When they get to this planet where this shipyard supposedly is, the plan is for Luke in his X-Wing and Rogue Squadron to kind of do this space battle to get the eyes off of Lando and Leia and Chewie and 3PO in the Millennium Falcon. And Dash is going to guide them to where the shipyard is, because Dash knows where Boba Fett is. The space battle goes okay. As soon as they get to where the shipyard is, Dash fucks off, because in his mind, he was only paid to guide them. He wasn't paid to do anything else. But by the time they get there, Boba Fett has taken off, and they are kind of trapped. So they have to fight their way out through this space battle and this ground battle of TIE fighters and the Millennium Falcon and whatnot. And it's just fucking awesome. It's fucking Star Wars. Luke is supremely pissed at Dash for fucking off. Rogue Squadron loses a few of their pilots in the ensuing kind of space battle. And then Leia decides, listen, Luke, you should go back to Tatooine, and if Boba Fett lands there, then you need to be there to make sure that you can get Han. She tasks Dash with kind of protecting him and keeping an eye on him. She, of course, pays him for that. And her and Chewie are going to go to Coruscant to meet with... wait a second, that happens a bit later. Her and Lando are going to go and try and work out, with Lando's contact, kind of what is going on. Ultimately, Luke on Tatooine is attacked by this gang of swoop riders. Dash helps him out. He kind of learns from Dash that Leia has kind of sent him there as protection. At this point, Lando goes to contact his Bothan like spy network kind of a thing, and Leia wants to get an audience with Black Sun because she figures that they can help. The criminal organization can help her find Han and all this kind of jazz. A message arrives on Tatooine for Leia, but Luke and Dash get to it, and it says the Bothans have information that is vitally important. Now, we know at this point what that information is. Prince Zizor has convinced the Emperor to send out the fact that the Emperor is building a second Death Star. So it's a trap to lure Luke kind of in, because Zizor wants to kill Luke to not only humiliate Vader, but basically destroy Vader in the eyes of the Emperor. Vader wants to turn Luke to the dark side. So there's that conflict happening there. Luke and Dash go off, meet with the Bothans, and while they are going to intercept this information that is being transported on this ship that's supposedly carrying manure as a cover, Dash thinks he fucked up. There's a missile shot at these Bothan pilots. Dash tries to shoot it out of the sky, but doesn't manage it, and a lot of pilots are killed. And Dash can't believe that he missed, because he's this hothead who thinks he's the best shot in the fucking galaxy, and all that kind of fucking crap. And he's kind of having this mental crisis. Some bounty hunters come that are looking for Luke, because two people have put a bounty out. One group for him alive, one group for him dead. And the one that want Luke alive can pay more, so they kind of capture him alive, and Luke has to escape. Leia goes to Coruscant and manages to get a one-on-one with Prince Zizor using Prince Zizor's aide Guri. Guri is a droid, but almost like a replicant from Blade Runner, like more human than human. So after her and Guri have this one-on-one, Guri wants to take her to Coruscant to meet Zizor. Lando thinks it's a bad idea, but Chewie goes with her. So they go off with Guri, and she meets with Zizor, and Zizor pretty much ends up taking her prisoner. Chewie realizes that everything's being monitored and that it's a trap, so they kind of do this plan to let Chewie escape so he can get word back to Lando and Luke not to come to Coruscant because it's a trap. While they're on Coruscant, before she meets with Zizor, she meets an old rebellion contact, and this guy kind of gives her the skinny on Prince Zizor and what's going on. He is a character that will come up multiple times because he is affiliated with the Rebel Alliance. Luke is captured. The Bothans get away with the data in this computer about the second Death Star, and as he tries to escape, Lando comes in and rescues him. They meet up with Dash, and they realize that Leia is in trouble on Coruscant because Chewie gets away and manages to get word to them. So they fly to Coruscant, get through the Imperial kind of patrols that are around Coruscant, and go down, meet with the Rebel contact. That's where Chewie is. And they ultimately decide we have to rescue Leia. Luke uses some force powers to connect with Leia, like he did at the end of Empire, where he kind of called out to her and she kind of heard him. And so they use like an underground tunnel system to get into Prince Zizor's castle. Vader has cottoned on to what Zizor is doing, that he wants Luke dead, and Vader is like, you fucking stay the fuck away from this guy, or there's going to be fucking hell to pay. Zizor's like, oh, I got nothing to do with it, blah, 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 but fuck you, yes I do. He's tried to seduce Leia at this point, but Leia is just having none of it. So they go into Zizor's castle, they fight their way up through the fucking, all the levels of this castle. There's this awesome battle through the levels of this castle where they're fighting guards and whatnot, and they finally get to Zizor. Leia, by this point, has managed to escape from her cell. She does have, when she got to Coruscant, she did have the Bosk disguise that she used in Return of the Jedi to get into Jabba's palace, so that was like a neat little tie-in there. But they find Zizor, and Lando kind of pulls out a thermal detonator, and we get this description of what a thermal detonator can do. He's got 3 of them. Leia takes one for later use, which we all know what happens in Return of the Jedi. Dash throws one of them down into the garbage chute, and Luke has the other one from Lando, and then all hell just fucking breaks loose where Zizor realizes he's not going to win this. He tries to flee. All these guards try to flee. You've got R2 and 3PO piloting the fucking Millennium Falcon, trying to get it from this warehouse hangar to this tower. It's nuts. The end of this book is fucking insanity. Star Wars awesomeness at its best, and if it was ever turned into a movie, fucking this thing would be a 5-star film just for that ending alone. They manage to get to the escape. They escape on the Millennium Falcon. Zizor's fucking castle just collapses because the thermal detonator fucking destroys all the stanchions and everything just falls down. But then they have to fight their way out of the blockade, which they manage to do with the help of Rogue Squadron, who come at the nick of time and fucking fly in and start fucking blasting shit in TIE fighters. And it's a huge space battle. But in the ensuing conflict, Vader comes in, and Vader is fucking pissed at Zizor. So he's like, you know what? My TIE fighters attack Zizor's craft. And so he and Zizor have a fucking space battle in which he destroys Zizor's skyhook, which is kind of like this space station connected to Coruscant where they can kind of go down via a turbo lift. And when that is blown up, the only way for the Millennium Falcon, Dash Render's ship, the Outrider, and Rogue Squadron to get out of this is to fly through that debris, which they do. But in the ensuing period, Dash Render's ship is hit by a bit of debris and fucking explodes. And then the rest of them all escape. At the very end of the book, we find out that the Bothans analyzed the missile that blew up the ships that Dash was supposed to have hit, but he believed he missed. He didn't actually miss. It was a new Imperial technology that basically was impervious to missiles. So Dash actually hit every time, but because of the coating, the missile didn't explode. So Dash died without ever knowing that he didn't miss. So his confidence was shattered, but he got it back a bit. But this would have been a huge boost to him. And it just ends with them kind of working it all out. That is Shadows of the Empire. There's a lot more to this book than I just fucking went through, but damn, was this a ride. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love Shadows of the Empire, the video game, even though I didn't really get very far in it as a kid. But, well, I say as a kid, I was fucking 18 when it came out. So, yeah, I mean, hats off to any author or any type of bridging between films. I really enjoy that. You don't need to read this book to enjoy Empire, Return of the Jedi on their own merits. They're fucking solid films as they stand. Don't give me shit about the Ewoks. Ewoks were fucking awesome. the death of Dash Render was fucked up. You don't kill off a character like that. So he's not dead. According to my research, he faked his own death so that Black Sun would not come after him in the future. Dash Render very much survived at the end of this book. And you kind of get a feeling that he did. It was a kind of a pissy way for him to go because he's an awesome pilot. There's no way he would have just hit debris like that. There's no fucking way. But doing a little bit more research on the character of Dash Render, apparently he appears in the special edition of Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, or his ship does in the Mos Eisley scenes. You can apparently see his ship taking off. And in The Rise of Skywalker, when all of the ships come to attack, that huge rebel armada comes at the end of the movie. If you pause it at a certain point, Dash Render's ship, the Outrider, is there. Now, whether or not Dash Render is actually piloting it, we don't know, but we can assume that he is. I believe Lando was in that space battle. So there's a very good chance that Disney have made this character canon now, which, if that is the case, makes me supremely fucking happy. Because authors, comic book writers and artists, role-playing game designers brought so much lore to the Star Wars universe only to have Disney say when they brought it out, nope, that's out of here, is just fucked. These people had a love for the franchise that they brought to us as the fans of the franchise. And if you've never read a Star Wars extended universe novel or a comic book or anything like that, but you're a fan of Star Wars, you're doing yourself a disservice, because these are just really, really fantastic stories. They are fun. They are gripping. They don't mock or twist the lore. They kind of stay true to the Star Wars universe that we know and love from the movies. I recommend you just going out and checking them out, because they are really, really great. Even go and look at Wizards of the Coast brought out the new Star Wars. Was it Wizards of the Coast? Fantasy Flight Games. I'm sorry. Fantasy Flight Games brought out the new Star Wars role-playing game, which is great, don't get me wrong. But go and check out the Wizards of the Coast version. This is basically Star Wars using the Dungeons & Dragons D20 rules, set in whatever era you want. You can basically make up your own Star Wars stories. And if you don't like that, then go and check out the West End Games. The West End Games Star Wars version. If you want to make up your own fucking Star Wars stories. That's what these authors pretty much did. They took their imaginations, authors like Troy Denning, Michael Stackpole, Steve Perry, and Kevin J. Anderson, and they just went and they just ran with it. I recommend you do that too. So I'm going to end it here. Cheers, everyone, for letting a Star Wars nerd rant about a book that he read when he was in high school. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you do not miss any videos that Plaguelands Media puts out. We've got a lot of projects coming up, so just, stay tuned for that. But most importantly, please, everyone, stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And as I say every single week, and I hope that all of our Plaguelands Media followers listen to this, and anyone that watches this video listens to this, please, please, please Read a fucking book, people.